even I started my chiropractic clinic based on two things.
Yeah.
And one was Jesus didn't come to be served. He came to serve.
Yeah.
So we knew we were just going to get out in the community and serve.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing was the Ziegler quote, get any you want in life, help enough others get what they want, which is, again, another act of service. So we started our clinic back in 2012. And then I'm going to fast forward to 2018. Life was great. We had a thriving practice, helping lots of people. I was living my purpose. I was making a difference. And then I went on a whitewater rafting trip. It was actually a men's retreat that we went on and went whitewater rafting. And I had a near-death accident. The raft actually flipped over and I got trapped underneath the rapid. And the last thing I remember thinking to myself was, I'm not coming back up. And then everything just went black.
Wow.
And then everything went bright white. And it was the most peaceful feeling I'd ever felt in my life. Like, I just want to stay here. Peace, joy, everything was in that moment. And then I heard this voice that said, wake up. And in that moment, I came back to reality and I was trapped between two rocks under the water. And I tried to push and I didn't move. I was stuck. And thankfully, adrenaline kicked in and I was able to push hard enough that I broke the buckle on my life jacket and was able to float to the top and actually breathe again. And after that, it shook me. We all think about our purpose and question, like, why are we here? But in that moment, I asked myself a powerful question. Why am I still here? Because things could have been completely different in that moment. And as I began to process that, because I went back to my purpose, hey, I'm living that. But what I realized is I was living my purpose, but I was playing way too small. And that's for all of us. I believe we get comfortable in life, and God has plans for us that are bigger than anything we can think, say, or imagine. So we just need to let go of what we think this is supposed to look like and ask, hey, God, what do you have in store for my life? And again, that was a perfect analogy for, I mean, the water was calm. We were just cruising along. That's where life was. Things were comfortable. Yeah. Then we hit the rapids, and that's where everything changed for me. And I believe that everyone in life, we get too comfortable, and you don't have to have a near-death experience to change. But a lot of you right now, you're dying a slow death in your business, in your relationships, in life in general, because you're not walking out the calling that God has for your life. And for me, that's why I'm on a mission right now to help people exchange their comfort for their calling. Because we got to step out of our comfort zone and into the call that God has in our life, because that's when you truly live out your purpose. So that fast forward to what I'm doing now, that was in 2018. In 2019, I asked myself, well, if money wasn't an issue, if I could do anything I wanted, what would I do that brought me joy and made an impact? And I was like, I just want to put out content on mindset and personal growth and development. It changed my life. I know it will change other people's. But I was like, I don't even know if anybody's going to listen. So I'm just going to start putting stuff out there. So in March of 2020, I started a Facebook group and just started interviewing people like this and just giving content and just serving. And it quickly grew. It grew to 1,000 people within the first month. And I was like, all right, people are listening. At the time, I was actually coaching other chiropractors because they would come to me and like, hey, you guys have had success. I'm struggling. Can you help me? And I realized it was never their business. It was never their systems, their procedures. It was always their level of mindset or growth and development. So once they shifted their mindset and started working on personal development, their businesses started to grow. So fast forward to what I'm doing now, I get to help people step into their power and actually live with more passion, more purpose, more peace, and more profits. So that's what I love to do every single day, because I know it's a calling that God has in my life.
That's incredible. And I am so glad that the word peace has come up so many times. And I literally sense that from you. So like, what a character trait to carry from God, like himself. I think it literally precedes you. So whatever that sensation is that you feel on the inside, know that it precedes you everywhere you go. I think what's
I want to thank you for that, because, and that's not always how it has been, because I got caught in the trap of building a business. And what most entrepreneurs do is that constant striving and that wanting to do more and be more and have more. But I got to this place of, no, I'm just going to surrender it all and say, God, where do you want me to go next? Because I've been there where I tried to go a certain direction and God was like, no, You need to come over here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now I'm trying to,
Likewise.
as much as I can, stay in the moment and ask
Yeah.
his direction of where to go next.
And honestly, Justin, that was one of the most impactful conversations that I had that entire retreat. I came back to my team that Monday, and we were sitting there. And by the end of the conversation, everyone was weeping, not much unlike the retreat that we were on. But when we were sitting at that final couch conversation about, we just had all of this wealth of information. You guys, I took 55 pages of Google Doc notes. Okay, 55. Wow. And I was like, holy cow, my mind is moving a million miles a minute, pretty much as fast as my mouth, which is pretty hard to do. And I'm sitting there, and Justin goes, well, one other person went, then Dr. Justin goes, and then somebody else, and then myself. And when he went, he said, well, I'm just going to like take all this information, and I'm just going to like present it to my mentor, and I'm going to just, sit with it and see what happens. And I'm over here with like a map, right? Like I've got every step. I know where I'm going. I know what minute I'm going to go there. And I was also super perplexed. I'm like, what do you mean? You have another mentor besides our coach that we just invested in to be here? Like, who is this person? I need to know this person. So I'm like, well, who's your other mentor? And he's like, God. And I was like, oh gosh. And I immediately was just like stunned to silence, again, rare for me, that it had me completely reprocessing this entire plan and map that I had created. Another person went, and it was my turn, and I'm like completely wrecked. I'm like, well, great. Everything that I was going to say is out the window, and I need to do the exact same thing. And I think that it's just so critical. It's a mindset thing. And what has emerged from that is to be able to operate joyfully for me. It's less, peace is amazing. It's a fruit of the spirit. It comes. But joy for me is the place that I want people to see and witness and also taste and experience in their entrepreneurial journey. Because I don't think they do it enough. They get into the weeds, they get into the overwhelm, they get into the achievement, they get into the comparison, all of the limiting beliefs, right? They're not worthy enough. There's imposter syndrome. There's all this stuff. So talk to us about that side of it, the side of all of the limiting beliefs. Literally, in my coaching session, these are literally 3 from each person of limiting beliefs that they can't do the thing that they're called to do. It's a real thing. Anxiety, suicidal ideation, self-worth, body image, addiction. How do you get past that?
Right. Yeah. And it is literally rewriting the story. And before we get to that, just the joy piece that you talked about, just so you got a lot of followers, I'm sure, that never had the pleasure of meeting you in person. But when I got to meet you, I felt the joy that comes from you. The same thing, the joy that we see on social media is real in your personal life. So I wanted to point that out, because that is hard to find. There's so many facades out on social media that it looks a certain way, but it's really not like that in person. And you embody joy. So I wanted to acknowledge that for sure.
Thank you. So sweet.
But yeah, when it comes to limiting beliefs, the first thing I think everyone needs to realize that is it's okay to have limiting beliefs. You're not alone. Everyone has them. So even for me, when I first started going online, so I had to make a complete shift, because in practice, I'd already scaled my practice. I was no longer physically practicing. So I got off of social media because I didn't want people wanting to come see me. I wanted it to be about the clinic and what God's doing there. So I shifted gears and had to go put myself out there online, and the limiting beliefs came. Well, I don't know if people are going to listen. Maybe I'm going to sound stupid. Nobody's going to like this. All that stuff came up. But what I like to say is you have to speak louder than the voices in your head, and that's why I love going back to the word, because the word is full of positive affirmations that show us who we are and whose we are and who we are. So when we start to believe who we really are, then we can speak louder than those little voices that are trying to stop us, because the voices are always going to be there. I have a friend who's part of a high-level mastermind. It's for people that have like $100 million companies, CEOs, owners, things like that. They spend a lot of time working on the limiting beliefs, because they're always going to be there. Let's say you overcome whatever's going on now and you go to a new level. Well, you're going to be like, okay, well, God did this. What else can he do? But we're going to start doubting that. We're going to start to have this unbelief come up, because it's new to us. Anything new, we start to question it. But again, if we can speak loud to ourselves in those voices we hear, that's when you can actually have the faith to step forward and take action.